Every day, we get things off the ground, keeping you connected and secure. We keep things running smoothly and know the importance of giving back. We're always looking at the bigger picture. We are ARA, reliable solutions for facilities and infrastructure.
And welcome Alastair Richardson.
Barnaby, thank you. Nice to be here.
Good to see you. So, Alastair Richardson is like a cocktail of Frankfurt. On the outside, he looks like all the rest of them. But when he gets tested, put in a bit of hot water, he splits and all the good stuff comes pouring out. Richo has a tattoo, has two Transformers tattoos. One of a Decepticon, one of an Autobot on either of his breasts. Richo did this to try and highlight his depth of character. He understands the good and the bad sides of life. Having a friend like Richo is very entertaining. He doesn't take things too seriously. But if things do get serious, he also understands the good and the bad reasons as to why they happened. He's there to support you. Richo is one of those friends you'd go into the trenches with because you know exactly what you're going to get. Someone who's going to fight till the last breath for the value of your friendship. If Richo were a Transformer, he'd be Optimus Prime, wise, powerful, and the sort of leader that people would follow, like his kind, would follow into battle any day of the week. Richo is an incredible friend, an incredible father, an incredible husband, and I'm privileged to say that Alastair Richardson joins me now. Richo, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Barnes.
Before I start though, I believe you've got something you want to say.
I do. Look, just a big shout out to the beloved Penno Damons and Clarkey after many years of nail-biting losses. Congratulations on the win a couple of weeks ago. Extremely proud of you and the cohort of Demons down there, so well done.
Great work, boys. Sorry, just trying to find where I'm at. So, Richo, you've had a lot of friendships over the years. What do you think differentiates the friends that just flitter in and out of your life that you meet today versus the friends you've gone through years of life experience with?
It's a good question. Like, I think about friendships a lot, and and my personality is quite big, and I like meeting lots of people. So people do come in and out of my life a lot. But I think the ones that you tend to keep are ones that you connect with on a deeper level. So for me, it's as you know what Jen and Matt have really spoken about is I suppose there's that instant attraction to see what they like and what you like, but then you kind of find that people who I've stuck with, I've always found easy to get along with. And I always find that people that have stayed in my life over the years have been the one who've really cared about me as well. And I think a real theme from what I've heard from particularly Jan, who's an amazing guest, by the way, is selflessness. And what Matt was talking about is easy. So I think that the people who I've really stuck with over the years have been selfless people, but also really easy people, and it's never a chore. So when I look back through my life and all the friends that I've been able to gather, the ones that I've really stuck with, there's probably two things that really ring a bell and stick with me at the moment, yeah.
So you are correct, you are a big personality with a lot of friends. You played a lot of Aussie rules footy in your time.
Yeah.
Did you ever stop while you were playing footy and think how important those friendships were in your life?
I think as I got older, I did. I think a lot of people talk about when they're through their football career, especially initially, you probably don't sit back and smell the roses and recognise it. But I think as you get a bit older, you kind of start realising that footy places are really special and the connections that you can make there are quite deep. I think it comes back to the common cause. You've both got a common goal there. And what really attracts me about footy clubs is that you've got so many different types of personalities who you wouldn't normally have exposure to, and you're all there for one common cause. And then when you get there in the end, that's the most satisfying part. But I think, yeah, particularly near the end of my footy career, I really started recognising that the relationships that I'd formed, not only then, but the ones from my real junior days as well, really stuck with me, particularly through my early 20s and those formative years that Matt spoke about eloquently when he was at university, yeah.
So how, as a young kid, making a lot of new friends in footy, how did you reinforce and cement those friendships when there was no social media and smartphones and the ease of communication we have these days?
Yeah, it was. Look, it was only 15 kind of years ago, 20 years ago, but it was a different world, wasn't it, Barnes? I think with communication, it's been a help and a hindrance in ways. The ways that I used to really connect with people, and I think Matt said it again, is just being there with people and spending time. I don't think there's any substitute for time with people. I think that you can have instant attractions, and get that rush of I've met someone I really like. But I think the substitute of time is impossible to find. So what I used to do, I used to just go out, kick a footy. You just talk. You just get to know people on a deeper level. And I find one of the great things about football for me is when you do go for a kick with someone, the conversation's different. It's a different conversation you have kicking a footy as you do when you're at a bar or whether you're out at a concert or something. So I found, again, football being that vehicle, a really good way to get to meet people on a deeper level. And you and I have had a lot of those experiences over the years with different football clubs where we've played with. And again, it's not until you get older, it's more of a reflective thing that you think about, wow, like I really got to know people quite a deep level through the vehicle of football. And that's how I used to really, I suppose, meet people in that particular environment. Particularly through those years, early 20s, which I think are really critical for forming relationships that are going to take you through your life. Yeah.
So, being the big personality and the very friend, magnetic person you are, do you think you would have been that person that you are today without the friends you created in your formative years?
No, I don't think so. I often wonder like the shape of what you would be without the people around you. And if you took a different group of people in a different part of the world, how different would you be? And I think very. So I think that we're formed a lot by the environment around us, and who we are is a reflection of the people that we be around. So I think that humans are very social creatures. I think that I am who I am because of the people around me and the people I've chosen to have in my life. And that's an energy that you get from people. But I also think also you respond to that, and then you give a certain energy to other people. So I think that I'd like to think that I've also helped shape other people and who they are. But I think when I look back on my life, and at this point anyway, and the friendships that I've had, I think I've taken little bits of that. And you can fall into a character as well with people, but I'd like to think it's a nice character. And obviously, as you said, a big character at times, Barnes.
Very true. So tell me, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you recall the happiest moment of your life? And if you do, who was around you when you had that moment?
Yeah, I've got to be a little bit careful with this one. But look, clearly, the happiest times of my life is when my kids were born. I don't think, I think anyone who's been a parent or is a parent, that moment when your child is born is an incredible day. So from a really deep level, I think when my kids were born, obviously my wedding day was an amazing day, and we were just talking about it before at McMaster's Beach. It was an incredible day. But I suppose for me on a personal front, as like individually looking at other moments in my life, I think the 2006 premiership was an amazing time in my life, and for everyone else there. And I think it's really poignant, I suppose, thinking about those moments and the relationships that I formed during that time. That particular day was an amazing day, and it still really sticks in my mind a lot. And a lot of the themes come up in that of friendship and resistance and resilience and hardship and all those things that we like to put pillars into our relationship. It all culminated in that one day. So that was an incredible day for me and the football club.
So what is it about really deep, loving friendships with grown men? What are the bonds of friendship that are formed in the common experience of playing at an AFL club together that draws men to be as soft as they are and send them messages saying they love each other?
Well, I think, as to Matt's point, I think times are changing. I think men have always thought that, but I think it's been something that's been quite private because it hasn't really been socially acceptable. So I think the thought's always been there, but I think that where we are now in the world, I think it's now allowed, and it's not only allowed, I think it's actually encouraged for men to talk about how they're feeling and how they feel towards each other. I think we've always thought this, but I think now publicly we're allowed to do it. And again, looking at footy clubs, it's just a terrific vehicle to bring young men and anyone together, and women now, which is great, together to then have those relationships and talk about that. I think one of the other things about a football club, it's not only the people, but it's the goal. So you have a common goal. And so when I look at my friendships away from football, they're a little bit different because there isn't that commonality of a goal. So I think where football clubs excel is that you've got a bunch of different people who have come together and we're all there for a common cause and a common reason. And the offshoot of that, which is really nice, is the relationships that are developed and formed, but it's that common goal where we're all coming together for something. And I believe that when you then reach that goal of that commonality of trying to hit that target, I think that's when magic can happen. And I do believe that friendships can be deeper and stronger if you have success in that common goal. That's why I always love football clubs, Barnes. And I think in some way I'll always be around them. Like I'm coaching now, involved in my kids' junior club at Terrigal Footy. So for me, it's a really big part of my life. And what I sort of recognising now, it's not so much about the football, it's more about the people that you meet inside it.
So is that why sporting clubs tend to have friendships that are really enduring and they last for a long time? Like my dad recently had a reunion with his 1924 cricket club. It was around 1924-ish. Is that why they're so enduring? Because of the common goal and the common hardship and the stuff they suffer, or not suffer, the work they endure through the years? Yeah,
I think so. And I just believe that, success at a football club is about selflessness. I think when you have everyone who's thinking like that, and really I think Jen's point before, what she's talking about is incredibly selfless person. I think when you have that attitude of selflessness, I think that's the real reward. And I think when you have that attitude of selflessness and then you put that on top of team success, I think that's something that's a point in time that people can always come back to, and they love coming back for reunions. And some people, they didn't really connect with that much, but they all come back together and we all come back to the one place and we talk about the times that we had there. And often you'll hear it's not so much about that one day where you won that premiership, it's about the relationships and all the little things that happened up to that point. So I think it's almost like, the journey is more important than the actual, where you're trying to get to, the destination. But without that end point of destination, we rarely get back together and talk about the journey. But I think that's the fun part, isn't it? It's the way we get there, right, Barnes?
Very true, very nice. So let me ask you about your kids. You're a multiple Father of the Year award winner.
Yeah, it was 3, and then Gatto knocked me off my perch last year, I thought, yeah.
Well, you're still the incumbent.
True.
So what do you see as your biggest challenge, the biggest challenges facing your kids in making those easy, fun friendships that you made when you were a kid?
Yeah. Look, I think Matt kind of touched on it at the start, is that when we were kids, you just used to run around the street and meet whoever was there, and you'd go to their house and you'd muck around till the sun went down. I think that the way the world is now, it's a much more sheltered place, and there's a lot of helicopter parenting, and for good reason in some points. I think my view is, though, with kids, raising kids, it takes a community. You can't raise kids by yourself. It's too hard. And you want to expose your kids to lots of different people in life as well. So for me, I want my kids to choose the right people to hang around, but ultimately, what Jen said before, you hope you instill the right behaviours in your kids, that they choose the right people to hang around, because as they become older, they have greater exposure to other people outside of your life. And that's the job of an adult and a dad. It's about making sure that you're instilling the right behaviours in your kids, so most of the time they make the right decision. But I still come back to, I think for me, it's a community that raises a kid. It's not just Deanna and I think it's our whole community, and I feel responsible for that, and I also feel that I'm helping raise other kids in my community as well, and also the football club. So I take real responsibility for that. It's not just me doing the job and my wife Deanna with our kids. I feel like it's the whole people that we're around, which is really important, and it strengthens our friendship as well.
Yeah. All right, so let me dip into your Optimus Primism and give you the stage. So just pretend Johnny Perrott is sitting under that camera and he's asking you, Richo, what would I do if my little boy Ollie steals a packet of chips from a kid and he's nasty? What advice would you give to Pez?
Oh, look, Johnny, firstly, if he didn't get caught, firstly, you'd say, look, that was really sneaky, well done, but was it the right thing? So firstly, I'd always ask the question back. So was that the right thing to do? And then they probably would say no, I would hope. And if they didn't say no, then we'd have to have another conversation. But I'd say, look, was that the right thing? They go, no. And I go, look, you're probably right. What's the right thing to do now? And then it's probably to put them back. So I always try and let kids arrive at their own conclusion. I find that with kids, it takes longer, but if you let them arrive at their own destination, then they're generally going to be reinforced to do the right thing next time. That's in an ideal world, mind you.
Don't forget that, Pez. So is being a good parent different to being a good friend? Yeah,
I think it is. I think parents, we toss and turn between, like, we want to be best mates with our kids, but I think at times, being a parent, it does transcend to that we can be friends, but the responsibility of being a parent's much greater than, I believe, than a friend. We need to teach our kids what's right and wrong, what's good and bad, how to behave. So it's a very different relationship in that sense. And sometimes you can't be their best friend. Sometimes the right thing is the hard thing to say or to do. And again, you're hoping your kids can self-correct over time. But definitely being a parent, you're not always going to give in to your kids, because if you did, they'd end up like Augusta Gloop out of Willy Wonka, wouldn't they? And they'd end up getting sucked up a giant tube into a chocolate fountain. I'm not too sure how I got there, but I look at kids on that show and you think, well, they've got what they want their whole life, and that's not what life's about. Getting what you want, is it, Barnes?
Gold. Augustus Gloop. That's fantastic. So how do some friendships endure for such a long time, while others, people come into your life quickly and you think, oh, this is the best person I've ever met and they're so amazing, but they tend to flitter in and out. Why do some endure and some come in and out?
I think you've got to accept that there's levels of friendship, and there's friendships of convenience. And we see that play out through our life, through high school, where we think we're going to be tight with someone our whole lives, or even work, when we move into work somewhere and then we move away from work. And I think what really makes the ones endure are the ones where there is conscious effort, but it is easy. So it is really easy to pick up the phone and really find out how someone's going, or actually catch up with them for a cup of coffee. But what I found through my life, as my personal life's got busier, I found my real friends, I don't actually need to speak to them every month or every week, or I can go a couple of months without speaking to someone, but then when I pick up the phone, it's like I spoke to them yesterday. So for me, they're the real relationships, and I find that as I've got older, I've needed those relationships more, and as I've kind of moved into my 30s, I find that the people that I became friends with when I was younger in those formative years, they connect me to who I was. And I think that's a really important compass to have. So I do make an effort with those people, and a lot of it is through social media now, through WhatsApp. And so that's where technology has been really helpful. And it can be a hindrance as well, technology. It shouldn't be relied on for solely and wholly. But I found it's really connected me and my really tight friends a lot, and you're part of that. So I think like sometimes when I meet people, I don't recognise it at the time of this person's we're going to be friends for a long time. And there's been opportunities where I've met someone and gone, oh, okay, they're okay. But then over time, we've really connected. And then there's other times where it's been like a sugar hit. These people are great, and then 3 months later, they're not there. So it's a great question, Barnes, and one I think about a lot. Yeah.
So who gave you your guidance on how to be a good friend and a good person, and to be living a life you're proud of?
I think there's a couple of people. I mean, you'd like to start with your parents. I think as you become a parent, you reflect back on how your parents raised you, and I think through those years it's critical that they guide you and steer you. But I think a lot of it is also, it's innately who you are. Like, are you Jen? Are you like Jen, a selfless person who always wants to give and help because it's just the right thing to do, and that's innate in that person? I'd like to think there's a bit of that. There's a bit of the nature in you that you're naturally just a friendly person, and then after that it's the nurture side of it, which is the environment. So who you have around you, how you form those relationships, and there's no doubt we're attracted to likeness. I look at all my friends and there's a certain similarity with me and all those people, and I continue to do that today as well. Yeah.
All right, Alastair Richardson, I started by saying you're a very entertaining friend and you haven't let it down.
Thanks, Barnesy.
Thank you for joining me, Richo.
Thanks, mate.
It was gold.
Bye.
Thank you.
Every day, we get things off the ground, keeping you connected and secure. We keep things running smoothly and know the importance of giving back. We're always looking at the bigger picture. We are ARA, reliable solutions for facilities and infrastructure.